Greetings, fellow humans. I am Hugh.
And I am Man.
And together we are definitely not
Two
kobolds in a trench coat. We enjoy human activities, such as paying taxes,
having existential crises,
and RPG horror stories. Let's see what we've got today.
Today, we have a tale of a level 3 party railroaded into fighting a mage with level 8 spells, and the ballad of the meat hammer incident.
Level 3 players fight mage who's immune to all damage, and I get banned for complaining about it. By Reddit user, Hosier Jedi. Hello, good people of the internet. I am sadly back with another tale for you. So I sometimes play one-shot games on a Discord that offers a paid DMing service. The one-shots are free because they use them to audition potential DMs and fish for clients. The quality of these games has ranged from pretty good to literally stuff I've posted about here. Anyway, the cast of characters goes like this. Me, Druid, Rogue, only other member of the party who was really into RP, Monk, quiet guy who ended up very unlucky, Sorcerer, dropped out early but came back after the game to argue about stuff, DM, newbie DM who didn't do particularly well, Admin, someone who should have been professional but wasn't, Owner of the whole business. So the tale starts with our characters hanging out on a fantasy beach and getting to know each other. Monk and Sorcerer are pretty quiet, so Rogue and I have fun getting to know each other. Sorcerer drops out because of IRL problems and the game continues. A nearby tavern catches on fire and the party rushes over to try and help. DM has trouble communicating which floor certain things are happening on. It's a little annoying, but they're new, so I don't really let it bother me too much. But I do have to press to get clear answers on what is happening for a few times. I didn't realise until after things were over that the DM totally forgot to ask the monk what he did and just focused on me and Rogue. Felt bad for Monk, but didn't want to put the DM on the spot for what was surely an honest mistake.
I think that OP's being really kind to this new DM, and hey, be kind to new DMs. It's not easy to do. You're having to juggle so much. You're by yourself. So yeah, really good job, OP.
At least the start of this story is reassuring that OP does appear to be very well differentiated and capable of showing understanding and consideration. So it does at least give hope that this is going to be a more honest accounting of what's about to happen. We save the day, there's some more good RP, and then things shift to us racing to a nearby castle to rescue an NPC we'd seen get kidnapped. This is where things start to go bad. The BBEG here is a mage who starts combat off on a landing atop some stairs by making what appears to be a big dragon appear. At this point, I need to explain. The party is level 3. Again, level 3. I thought it might be the illusory dragon spell for a moment, but then I remembered that's an 8th level spell. No way anyone not gunning for a TPK is throwing that at a party of 3 level 3s, right? My druid cast blindness/deafness on the mage, and they failed their con save. Mage is now blind. The DM doesn't seem to know how the blinded condition works and says that, on their next turn, the mage gets into the illusion. Since the mage was on a landing, they'd have to either climb over some rails or go down some stairs to get into the illusion. I start asking just how they're doing that and if they shouldn't have to make some sort of save, since trying to climb over rails or go downstairs while blind seems like a challenge. Rogue joins in on asking about this, but the DM just brushes past our questions. I think they panicked, and somehow the mage is inside the illusion. Turns out the illusion is solid somehow, and the mage can control it to try and bite us. I again point out that the mage should be doing that at disadvantage, and I am again ignored. My druid retreats to the side and hits the dragon with Moonbeam. The dragon takes some damage, but we're told the mage inside has immunity to all damage while they're inside. This does not go over well with Rogue and I, and we start saying that throwing immunity to all damage at level 3 characters is more than a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with that. Moonbeam at level 3 is a pretty good spell for somebody to have, and it's a really great tool to have in your utility belt, as it were. To make your BBEG immune to something like that is really putting your players in a place where what are they going to do? Because they can't get within range of this BBEG because it's inside a dragon, and that's a powerful level 8 spell. So all they have is spells, but they can't get to the mage inside the dragon. So I don't
So illusory dragon spell does create a illusory dragon, as it says. And this dragon is immune to all forms of damage. And it is corporeal, meaning it is solid and can interact with the world around it as such. So either A, the DM has adjusted the spell to allow the mage into it, and then the dragon takes damage, but the mage doesn't. Or B, they are misusing it and doing something else entirely. Either way, it's an 8th level spell and is wildly inappropriate for throwing at a level 3 party. Unless of course this is a runaway encounter, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
This is a one-shot, so I would be really, really skeptical of the fact that this would be a runaway encounter.
Yeah, you're right there, I actually forgot about that. If it's a one-shot, this clearly then isn't a runaway encounter and is ridiculous.
To your point about whether or not the DM was misusing the spell or just changing it a bit for his own purposes, I think given his experience, it's going to be he's either doesn't understand the spell or is just being ignorant. I feel like maybe he didn't understand the spell and then gets in the middle of it and freaks out because his whole strategy isn't working.
It does sound like a bit of a panic reaction, you're right. Now during all this, one of the staff has been monitoring the DM. They chime in with some jokes about, "Start the funeral music." I didn't find it funny at all since the DM didn't understand how conditions worked and was ignoring Rogue and I's objections. What was pretty clear BS. I get that it was an audition, however this seemed like a place where some outside intervention was called for. Alas, no such luck. The DM plows ahead with the dragon doing around 15 to 17 damage per attack. Monk and Rogue got stomped in short order while my druid fled to the sidelines. For the record, the mage failed their saving throws and was still blind and making attacks that landed in the lower and mid-20s against level 3 characters. Rogue and my druid tell the mage, "You win!" and book it. Monk ends up Dragon Chow and the BBEG triumphs. Bad ending.
Yeah, so this mage this whole time has been blinded, which means they should have disadvantage on their attacks, but it does not seem like the DM is giving them that. So what even is the point of it being blinded?
It's pretty fundamental that, even as a new DM, you should probably be aware that blindness means disadvantage. At the very least, you'd learn that when they cast a spell and you read it.
I don't understand why the DM couldn't just give that to the players. I do agree with OP that whoever was monitoring this situation should have stepped in and said, "Hey, just so you know, the mage has disadvantage because of blindness." And yet this person is just cracking jokes, being completely unhelpful. Like, what even is the point of having somebody to observe this if they can't run interference if you're working with new DMs?
Afterwards, the DM did apologize for how things went. I never did get a clear answer on what the spell was, but it sure as hell wasn't something meant for characters at our level. Them getting a paid DMing gig had a snowball's chance in hell, but I didn't want to be a jerk by saying that, and just reiterated my earlier complaints. With these games, afterwards, one of the staff usually DMs the players to ask about their experiences, what they thought of the DM, etc. I waited about an hour and heard nothing. Now I try to cut new DMs as much slack as new players, but ignoring players when they are raising reasonable objections, or explaining something the DM admits they don't understand is too much, even then. So I said as much in the channel chat because I knew that I would get a response from someone. You see, last year on the same Discord, another game went south and the DM implied my ranger might get SA'd after being knocked out fighting some bad guys. I objected to that, so the DM got mad and had the bad guy smash her head in instead. I complained in the chat channel after the game, and the DM said my character was only going to be sold instead. Anyway, since I complained in the place where paying people could see the problem, it got sorted quickly and the DM got banned. I did the same thing again, and Sorcerer, who wasn't even there, more or less accused me of being a jerk because the DM was new. They said I should have sent the DM a private message about my complaints. Never mind that I had already voiced complaints to the DM directly, and that the Sorcerer hadn't even been there when the problems happened. Look, I believe in criticising actions, not people, because the latter tends to go over poorly and is unproductive. And I need to be clear, I only spoke about the DM's decisions and not them as a person. I could tell they were trying, but the DM did not do a good job.
Yeah, I don't know why Sorcerer's getting involved in this when they were there for 5 minutes? You didn't see it happen, so Unfortunately, you don't get to say whether or not this person is right. And I really, really hate it when other people get involved when they have no idea what's going on.
It sounds like they made some assumptions about what's going on. They heard the basics of it and just assumed their player was being unfair to DM.
Or they're friends with DM. There's always that. But I don't agree with Sorcerer that, oh, you should have just sent him a private message. I see that all the time. And with problem DMs, sending them a private message is not necessarily the best idea because 9 times out of 10, you'll either be ignored or be told that you don't know what you're talking about or something along those lines. So when you're talking about a paid DM situation, whatever this Discord was, it's better that everybody knows what's happening, including admins and other people that have the authority to do something about it.
Anyway, about an hour later I got back from lunch and a walk, and the owner wanted to talk with me. I told my side of the story about how things seemed unbalanced. The DM didn't listen and didn't understand key rules, and what seemed like one of the staff making fun of the party instead of stepping in to help. He agreed that my complaints were valid. The immunity thing would be fixed, and he messaged the admin saying that joking like that under the circumstances wasn't the most professional thing he could have done. Then the owner told me that while I did have a valid complaint, I'd come across as aggressive when voicing them. While I did try to avoid that, yeah, I can be a bit aggressive when I feel I've been wronged or ignored. So then the owner mentioned that he felt he needed to bring balance to the situation. Balance equals DM didn't get the paid DMing gig, and I got banned from the Discord. I won't sit here and pretend I'm blameless in all this. I really didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But being ignored is something that really gets under my skin, and I could have shown more grace in the situation. But at the end of the day, I only play on that Discord a handful of times a year, and the games were, at best, a mixed bag. So it's not a big loss for me as a D&D player. In terms of the moral of the story, listen when people are trying to explain something to you, and even if you're in the right, there's such thing as being too aggressive about it.
I don't know if some of this happened over voice chat or text. Speaking from personal experience, it is much easier to interpret somebody as being aggressive when it's text versus speaking because you can't hear a tone of voice. So you just take it the way that you feel like taking it or how you perceive it. I don't know what OP said or how they said it, and they even admit that they can get a little aggressive when they feel like they've been wronged. I feel that. I can get that way too. So I get that maybe if they said something that did come off as aggressive, that the owner would want to, like you said, restore balance in that way. Still, I feel like it's a little bit over the top to ban somebody like that because they are in the wrong. So you kind of have to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're feeling, like something is unjust in this situation.
It doesn't feel like a very balanced response to the situation there. If OP had been shouting blindly and gone into a full rage at the DM, the banning would be justified. But being a little bit aggressive and being a bit annoyed to then be permanently banned from the server whilst the DM just doesn't get one paid DMing gig doesn't feel balanced, considering OP wasn't the problem.
Honestly, I think the biggest problem was the admin for making those kinds of jokes. That's in just really bad taste.
I get it, you're in a fun environment, but you're still an admin, you're a paid professional to be there, you've got to engage in the business mentality.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that they were being paid to be there. Everybody else was doing it for free. The admin was being paid to do that, and they weren't doing their job. Moral of the story, it's really hard to have big operations like this over Discord and have everybody understand and be happy. So it is just kind of a hot mess at the end of the day. The Meat Hammer Incident by Bacon Grilled Cheese 1. Game is Pathfinder 1E. There are 4 players, including the DM, who's inexperienced at the role of DM. World is homebrew. Players are all different subclasses of monk. This is around session 5. Players are at 4th level. Encounter. DM has set the stage. Logging Town is being threatened by fey creatures acting as eco-terrorists. From dialogue, the players gather some descriptions of the creature and its habits, and thus they embark. After dodging traps and tracking the creature, they walk into an ambush. An assassin vine attacks the monk in the trees, Windstep Monk. The monk, who is best described as a weird combination of unchained rules and options, decides to use the environment to get up in the tree in one round and attack the vine. Bad rolls lead to the assassin vine constricting the unchained monk. Meanwhile, the Grimstalker drops from the trees and attacks the lone monk on the ground. Windstep Monk abandons the Unchained Monk to help the regular monk. Another round of bad rolls, and something snaps inside the Unchained Monk player. Doug, the Unchained Monk's player, who is over 300 pounds and 6'6", takes the dice he was rolling and goes into the kitchen, visibly fuming. Jerry, the DM, uses the opportunity to go to the bathroom and perhaps figure out some way to salvage this encounter. Smash. 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 Doug has taken a meat mallet to the die, a favorite of his for many years, and he'd named it and completely pulverized it. Jerry, having heard the commotion, comes out of the bathroom and sees the situation. Jerry quite obviously fudges a bunch of rolls behind the DM screen to finish the encounter in favor of the party, calls the session early, and hoofs it out of there.
That really was not where I was expecting this story to go. I was thinking more of a classic barbarian wielding a halfling as a melee weapon, only the barbarian had crafted a hammer out of the meat and body parts of his fallen enemies. I was not expecting dice murder in this situation.
I mean, Doug must have been real pissed if he took a meat mallet to his favorite die that he's named. I hope the other die are trembling in their boots, because apparently nobody's safe.
He had to set an example to the other dice.
Scare him straight. I do not at all blame Jerry for being like, right, okay, let's just get this over, have everybody win, and get the hell out.
Yeah, even if this was a group of close friends who knew each other very well, I don't think I'd want to be around Doug much more after that, at least for that evening, until he's had the chance to calm down.
Hopefully they can have a conversation and Doug can cool down and everybody can go back to playing, because so far it seems like they all get along. Also, just absolutely love the idea of all the monks, even though it was really difficult to read monk that many times. Hey Hugh.
Yes, man?
What do you get when you cross a zebra with an orangutan?
I don't know. What do you get?
I don't know, but I'm blaming the wizard again.
And with that, we have definitely not been two kobolds in a trench coat. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and make the necessary sacrifices to Tiamat. We'll see you next time.